As things begin, so too must they end. The Sui storyline has been with us for a long time. Since our first introduction to the oh-so-wonderful director Nian, the story of Yan's dragon gods have played out. Through its initial poor showings to its eventual rise to greatness, there are 9 story events and 1 integrated strategies dedicated to the siblings' battle against Sui. I figured they would push the eventual conclusion off for a few more years, but I am happy to say that they have given us a conclusion to the story of the Chinese dragons. Hopefully, that doesn't mean that Arknights is ending soon, cause we still have 5 more dragons that need to become playable. Even more if you count Enfield, but we don't, and we are also getting ahead of ourselves. So you best have studied how Wei Qi works, and have accepted our Lord and Savior's favorite OC Chen into your heart and soul, because this is first of 1,000 autumns, and there is, as you can tell by the timestamp, a whole lot to cover. We are at the end of this story, but I must ensure you all remember our primary actors and actresses, the Sui siblings. The great country of Yan strikes down a god, and so 1,000 years of peace and prosperity is their reward. Of course, the god leaves behind 12 proxies of itself, and Yan must decide what to do with each of them. Shou is the first, a master of martial arts. He eventually seals away his Sui half and becomes a mortal man known as Chong Yue. Wang is the second born, a natural strategist and the greatest Wei Qi player in all of Yan. He would go on to cause much chaos as he was the proxy that would address the Sui question directly. Ling was third and a poet without equal. She also fancied herself a drink, which I am sure led to much poetry in an infinite content glitch the man doesn't want you to know about. Jun followed her and dedicated herself to law and order. In her spare time, however, she pursued the musical arts. Jie was the 5th proxy, whose skills were calligraphy, history, and education. She wove herself so deeply into her arts that she was perhaps a threat even to Sui itself. However, she would lose her life preventing the awakening of Sui 120 years ago, setting Wang down the path he follows to this day. Shu is the 6th and worked tirelessly to advance the agricultural sector of Yan. She would help to reclaim farmland even when faced by the corruption of the demons of the north. Ji is the 7th and of all became the most evil, for he is a capitalist. Also, he's an expert of textiles, so he can make you incredible clothes that he will sell to you for ridiculous markups. Yi Arknights is the 8th and is a master of architecture and feng shui. He is the owner of the Garden of Grotesqueries and as such worked closely with Yan to placate the sleeping Sui. Nian is the 9th proxy. She is a master of blacksmithing and possesses the power to shape things to her will. She also believes herself to be something of a filmmaker, which has proven a headache for more than one of Rhode Island's operators. Fong is the 10th and a master of medicine and the last without a design. I am just going to call him Fang like the other operator because if he wants me to respect his name, he should give me a design to work with. Dusk is the youngest sister and an artist without equal. She can paint entire worlds into existence and even create an imitation of life. Last, but certainly not least, is Yu. The 12th proxy is a master chef, and even his simplest dishes can restore the vitality of mortals and gods alike. He also owns a restaurant in Baizhou, so unlike many of the unemployed bums in his family, he can hold down a job. So there's a lot to cover this event, but I will give you a quick recap if you have not kept up to date. All of this is somewhere on the channel now, but I want to give a refresher. So, last time, on the many episodes of Dragon Ball Sui, Neen decides to stop being unemployed and travel to Rhodes Island to pursue a movie career. After claiming lava as her own, and failing to produce anything of value, she sent her and crews off to Yan to find her little sister. Within an ink scroll, shenanigans occur, and Nian drags her native sister Dusk out of her paintings for a serious discussion on their older brother Wang. Deciding they have to make preparations in case he messes up with Sui again, the two dispatch Cruz and Mr. Nothing to help them find Ling. Wang, after escaping imprisonment, split himself into 181 pieces, and one of them ended up in the hands of Li. With a bit of possession and a quick imitation of Sui being summoned, Ling meets up with her sisters. Their reunion is cut short as the Grand Tutor has need of them. Ling is dispatched to Yumen, and Nian and Dusk are sent to Da Hong to aid in the construction of defenses against demons, as well as to prepare an artificial horde of Sui to contain the siblings should it awaken. In Yumen, Ling meets with Chong Yue. The man is preparing for his retirement. His time as Grandmaster is at an end, and he wishes to pass the torch to humanity. However, an old enemy of Sui, the Ferrenmot Ya, seeks her revenge, and the Shanhaizong, longtime enemies of Yan, have other ideas. through trials and tribulations, Chongyue is able to pass off his mantle to waifu's bum-ass dad and have a showdown with Ya. Defeating her allows him to retire in peace. Although, as he leaves the city behind him, he runs into Wang. Promising to put a stop to his plans should they grow out of control, the two part ways. In Dahong, meanwhile, Shu tends to the fields, while Nian and Dusk work on their project. This is interrupted first by the arrival of Ji, who unbeknownst to them has allied himself with Wang, and then a demon invasion. Shu puts a stop to some of the demons, while the humans handle the rest, and comes back from the dead to put a stop to the fight between Ji, Nian, and Dusk. Wang makes a quick appearance, but the arrival of the old Tianqi ensures no fight will happen here today. Taking off with a gift from Shu, as well as a garment woven by Ji, and after acquiring the sword storing Chongyue's power, Wang is almost ready for the battle against Sui, which leads us to the capital of Yan, Baizhou. The story of two long-lost sisters sets the stage for the final push towards Sui. The True Long, Emperor of Yan, having been moved by the Words of Blaze, allows Wang to access the tomb of Sui, hoping that his efforts will allow him to eliminate it once and for all. After sharing one final meal with his youngest brother Yu, Wang enters the tomb. This sets the stage for this event, but there is one last event you must know about. Within the Garden of Grotesqueries, a fragment of GA was recovered, and through his efforts, Wang has allowed the possibility for the return of his long-lost sister. And that should lead us right up to the beginning of First of a Thousand Autumns. Yan is no saint. It is a country built on the sacrifice of its people to overthrow uncaring gods. Since then, Yan has made many efforts to improve the lives of its people. However, through a mixture of true lungs who prioritize their own glory and power-hungry officials, Yan has built a ledger it cannot possibly clear. Even as recently as 40 years ago, the air struck down his father to prevent catastrophe from befalling Yan, the fallout of which affected far more than the disgraced prince and his assassinated father. Thankfully, a wonderful little brother took up the mantle of True Lung after his brother fled Baizhou, and in the ensuing chaos stabilized things through his policies and the aid of the three Grand Ministers of the Imperial Court. It did cost one of them, the Grand Preceptor, her life, but overall, the worst case scenario was averted. Now, however, one of the other two Grand Ministers, the Grand Commandant, is nearing the end of his life. He was appointed to the position by the previous True Lung, and has watched on as Yan reformed itself into a modern country, waiting patiently for the day Yan would be ready to throw down the yoke of Sui. However, he is old, and his sickness has left him bedbound mere days after Wang entered the tomb of Sui. The True Lung has come to meet with his longtime advisor to ascertain his condition. The True Lung dismisses his cold, and worries that he is simply avoiding his duties. The Grand Commandant denies this, of course, and takes the opportune time to ask the True Lung his intentions with Sui. Over 2 weeks have passed since Wang entered the tomb, and Yan has not made any preparations should the worst happen. The True Lung is hesitant to throw away the lives of his people, but understands that this is not a situation that can be ignored. Heeding the advice of his council, the True Lung declares that Wang's time to overcome Sui shall last till the next full moon. Around the same time this meeting takes place, Zhole, Lazy, and Record Keeper emerge from the Garden of Grotesqueries. Just over 2 weeks have passed since the party entered, and they feel as if they traveled the garden over and over again. The trio seek the Jade Rule that symbolizes the completion of the ritual, but instead discover the little emoji used by Wang to placate C and store the memories of a proxy. The old Tianqi greets the trio and wastes no time in dispatching Zhuole to Baizhou. The other two must remain behind. Baizhou is being evacuated, and there is work for them here. Noticing that the Shanghai Zong woman who set them on this path, Mo Yi, is not present, Record Keeper asks the old Tianqi if what they found is what she sought. Although she cannot answer his question, she is sure that whatever it is will be useful in the near future. The Master of the Garden looks upon this, and places his hopes on Zhuole's shoulders as he carries the hopes of the proxies. 3 days before the full moon, Chen and Wei Yanwu have found themselves in yet another standoff. Since their arrival to Baizhou, Wei has told her all about his past. How he struck down his father, how he abandoned the city with his sister, how he abandoned his brother to rule, and how he blames himself for losing even more of his family when fate chose to punish his brother-in-law and niece. Chen just thinks he's getting old, and that if he was the same man he was 5 years ago when she left Longmen, they would have already come to blows. She would just leave him be, but she doesn't trust him not to fuck something up, so for her aunt's sake, she won't leave him handle this alone. Still, if war with Sui is coming as he expects, then surely there would be more messages passing between Bai Zhao and Yumin. She may have just been told of this mighty creature, but it is certainly not something that Yan could handle without proper military force. The last of the Grand Ministers that is yet to be mentioned makes his appearance at this time. The Grand Tutor wishes to speak to Wei and recognizes Chen immediately upon seeing her, asking her to stay and listen. He reveals to Wei that 5 other Pheromods have awakened and have begun to move against Great Yan. It is not that Yan fears fighting them, but with the awakening of Sui so close, they cannot afford to look away from Bai Zhao. While watching the discussion between Wei and the Grand Tutor, Chen begins to hear 2 others making comments about the arrogance of Yan. The Tutor knows Yan is prepared for war, but with the current circumstances, even the best case scenarios seem to end in Pyrrhic victories. Hearing this, Wei fears that his brother will activate the final failsafe of Yan, the Bufan, and that his past 40 years of mistakes will be wiped clean. This is why a backup plan is needed. The disembodied voices know that such a thing would only ever be considered if the hour was truly dire, and Chen is left confused by the whole exchange, demanding to know what both men before her and the disembodied voices are talking about. The Grand Tutor leaves Wei to think about what they have discussed. Wei tells Chen that he intends to ensure that he corrects his mistakes and ensures that no more suffering falls onto his family due to his inactions. Chen makes to leave to think about what she has heard, and Wei tells her that he is sure she will achieve more than he ever did, which does not reassure her in the slightest. He finally asks her about Tallulah, but Chen refuses to answer. His death wish is clear for all to see, and she will not give him that bit of closure if he goes down that path. While she is alone, the voices return once more. They call her overcautious and indecisive, so much unlike her ancestors. Still, of all of the first True Lung's descendants, she is who they are placing their fate in. She only sees a brief flash of Bestial Hu and Bestial Ju before matters of the material world need her attention. The Shadow Guard have discovered that Wei has disappeared, and there is only one place he could have gone. Leaving the inn behind, Chen ventures into Bai Zhao. Zhuo Le returns to Bai Zhao and discovers it to be vastly changed since his departure. The city guards have been moving the citizens onto nomadic plates in preparation for the battle with Sui. Zhuo Le decides to keep a low profile, but is immediately intercepted by a candle holder from the Sui regulators. The man congratulates Zhuo Le on the completion of the placation ritual and requests that he hand over the Jade Rule. Zhuo Le refuses him, however, resulting in the candle holder summoning the guards to arrest him. Before things come to blows, however, Zhuo Le is rescued by the timely arrival of Mo Yi, who creates a distraction so that he may flee. At the same time, Chen attempts to enter the city but is stopped by the guards. She spins a sub-story about her elderly uncle being lost, and with her past as a superintendent of Lungmen, she is granted access for the next 24 hours. Another woman is also entering the city. The 4th proxy of Sui arrives, just as a call to arms goes out. Script Geists begin to manifest, and the guards are quickly put on the back foot. The junior drill master strikes first, and leads the guards in tackling the enemy. Geists attempt to attack Jun, and Chen defends the woman. After witnessing Chen's actions, Jun asks Chen what the difference between forcing one's will on the masses and enlightening the masses through one's mind is. This is a very strange question to ask someone, but Chen takes it in stride. She doesn't have an answer for her, but it doesn't matter. The woman melts into the crowd, certain that they will meet again. Zhuo Le battles the Geists while he continues to flee. After striking enough of them down and realizing they leave ink stains behind, he realizes they may be related to Jie. When one of the guards tries to help him, Zhuo Le realizes that there are conflicting orders circulating the capital. Meeting up with Mo Yi, the woman takes the little emoji from him. With just one look, she knows this is the Lost Proxy. Using the ult she used when summoning the avatar of Chongyue, she attempts to summon Jie, but it has no effect. Chen, meanwhile, traces the script guys to their source, the Sky Mirror Pavilion, the Great Library of Yan. 500 years ago, a Weiqi game comes to an end. Shou, not yet known as Chongyue, even though that is what I will be calling him, sits across from his brother, having lost yet another round. Wang, of course, informs him of how he could have won, but Chongyue is unconcerned with the outcome. He is happy simply to have spent time with his brother. Wang informs his brother of an assistant minister who tried to frame Chongyue and how he dealt with the threat to his reputation. Chongyue is displeased with how Wang has been interfering with political affairs. Wang, however, is worried for his siblings. One of Fang's patients committed suicide shortly after being cured, leaving the man depressed. Dusk's art style and name has been stolen and used by a fraud to paint her in a bad light. Thieves have even raided Yi's garden. Yan still fears the Sui. The two part ways and Wang heads for Baizhou. Yu and Jie spend some quality time together. Jie is transcribing works for the Sui regulators while Yu cooks for her. Paper has only recently been invented, so Jie has been busy. Wang interrupts the happy gathering and, due to his dour attitude, scares his younger brother. Jie scolds her older brother for it before the three of them sit down for dinner. After the meal, Wang and Jie discuss what has transpired. Wang dismisses her attempts at bringing the siblings together, but Jie wonders if he will come to regret this in the future. Jie presents a scroll she has been working on to Wang. It has been covered in scribbles of the same word, Sui. It's awakening. Jie has a plan to deal with it though. One of her writing knives is capable of carving away words, and she uses it to strike the word Sui from her scroll, with the ink vanishing as if it had never been there. Perhaps as the proxies continue to live, their power and existence will grow beyond Sui. Jie offers the knife to Wang and asks him to deliver scrolls to the regulators for her. On his way there, Wang encounters a man playing Weiqi by himself. The man lost everything for Weiqi and asks Wang for a game. Wang agrees, and the old man lays out the board. Wang is left with one token to a full board. However, with one simple move, he places the game into a state where he may yet claw victory from certain defeat. After this, the man vanishes and a member of the Sui regulators arrives. Wang informs them of this manifestation of Sui, and the regulators record the board left behind. Handing over the scrolls, the candle holder makes note of a special scroll, the one that had Sui written on it. It strikes a chord in his memory, and he realizes this is an event from 500 years ago. Reclaiming the scroll, Wang heads back to the inn where he met his siblings. This time, unlike in history, Wang opens the scroll and sees it covered in that detestable name. Taking up Jie's knife, he begins to carve it away, each stroke weakening him further and further, and causing disasters to strike around him. Lightning strikes the building, the earth shakes, wind shrieks, fire burns, and he is consumed by the void. Eventually, he is victorious, and all of the names are struck from the record. Turning over the page, one last word remains. Taking the knife to the last Sui results in his body being stabbed. Each cut to Sui's name cuts him, but all it does is harden his determination. Blood flows freely, and soon he cannot even see, for his eyes are covered. Alas, he succeeds and collapses to the ground. His task completed, and his life forfeit. The memory fades, and Wang finds himself within the tomb of Sui. These nightmares are Sui's memories, and with each journey through them, Wang sacrifices some of the 181 pieces that make up his person to carve the memories away. Alas, there is not many left now, and soon this god will be unable to awaken ever again. Leaving the tomb behind, Savor at Yu's is quiet. With the city evacuated, it is just Jiang, Yu, and John in the restaurant. A rather unusual patron arrives, however. Ya, the same Faranmut that caused trouble in Yumen during Chong Yue's event. Yu is undaunted by her rudeness and requests that she at least have some food before insulting the chef. And, to her credit, she takes a seat. She is confused by Yu. He is the power of a god and spends his time and efforts cooking for humans. Not to mention, he is completely unafraid of her, despite her adversarious position. Things seem to be going well, till she realizes Jiang is a candle holder of the Sui regulators. Thankfully, with John being present, no battle takes place. Taking one of John's buns, Ya leaves, intending to meet up with the Shanghai Song woman who promised to deliver her the key to her revenge. Yu thanks John for the assist and asks her what her business in Baizhou is. She simply has an appointment to keep, and would stay to enjoy more food if a burning smell was not coming from Yu's kitchen. At the Sky Mirror Pavilion, Chen is prevented from entering by the Magistrate of Water. Chen is confused that a woman responsible for putting out fires, a long automated task, is still in Baizhou. Alas, Chen has no intention of being stopped here, as she must get to the bottom of the script guy's problem. Revealing her identity as a former cop does not help her either. Not because of ACAB or something sensible like that, but because she is Chen Hui Chie. It is an offense to this woman that she would imitate the House of Chen, as she is the last of them. Chen Chao Chien, henceforth known as Chen Chao. She is pretty upset at Chen, as her parents ruined the reputation of her family. After her father married the Princess Yongjing, when it came to light that it was a less than happy marriage, it caused Chen Chao's family to be shunned by the rest of society. Things are pretty tense until script guys attempt to attack Chen Chao, and she is saved by Chen. Not giving the woman time to argue with her, Chen heads straight for the library, with an angry Chen Chao following her. Mo Yi and Zhuo Le have also arrived at the library and are still fighting over the little Moji. Mo Yi was pretty confident in her victory, but the Garden of Grotesqueries has made Zhuo Le much stronger. Still, despite their fight, Zhuo Le recognizes that something is weird with the three regulators. During their battle, they end up knocking over a bookshelf, which alerts the Chens to their location. In the chaos of their arrival, Mo Yi ends up taking Chen Chao hostage, Zhuo Le takes a wooden lock off of Mo Yi, and Chen acquires the Moji. The chaos of the whole situation alerts another library resident, Liang Xuan, who is ready to receive his mandatory screen time in every Sui event. Liang immediately recognizes that something is wrong with the Sui regulators after seeing Zhuo Lei's reaction to being asked if he's here to solve the Geist problem. Despite Mo Yi being a Shen Haizong, he immediately recognizes that her being in Baizhou must be for a pretty good reason, as there is no way she would be here just to cause trouble. Liang knows that the Shanghai Zong's original mission statement would never allow them to harm an innocent person, and as such, Chen Chao is released without need for battle. He and Chen recognize each other, and Chen is surprised to see the advisor of Yumen here when war is upon them. Liang has been demoted to transcriber now though. With tensions lowered, the group begins to come together. Zhuo Le explains the situation as he sees it with Mo Yi adding that the whole thing is caused by the breeding of Sui. It is waking up and they don't have much time. The script guides are likely being formed due to GA's writing knife, which is present on the top floor of the library. The Ministry of War has been scouring the library for it, but it remains carefully locked away. It seems the Ministry of War and the Sui regulators are in league with each other though. Due to GA's work recording Yan's history, her knife gained the ability to erase and rewrite history. 2 keys are needed to unseal it. These keys are held by the Sui regulator supervisor and the 4th Sui proxy. Although, maybe the Moji will do. Liang notes Chen's silence and asks her where Wei is. Hearing all that has been said about the knife combined with the conspiracy, Chen worries that Wei has not been kidnapped but has entered Baizhou willingly. The battle between Wang and Sui takes them back to the Terran year 759. This time we witness the destruction of the Shanghai Zong and the death of the ferrymen who rule over them. Praise and honor is heaped upon Wang and Chong Yue for this, and the lead official believes that this has proven the siblings' loyalty to Yan. Chong Yue is a bit concerned about what would happen if Yan were to discover Wang's deception. Instead of striking down Zhu, he allowed him to escape on the grounds that in the future he will aid Wang against Sui. It is only recently that Chong Yue has sealed himself away in his sword, and Wang disparages his brother for handing that key to freedom to the regulators. Unlike Chong Yue, his siblings cannot do as he has done. This method may safeguard him from the awakening, but all of his family will be lost. It would take centuries, maybe even millennia, for all of the others to achieve the same thing. As such, the problem of Sui remains, even if there is an escape for one of them. Chong Yue asks his brother to give him a better solution then. Should he have found a pet, Chong Yue would willingly dedicate himself to it, but Wang offers nothing, and while reprimanding him for this, Chong Yue slams his hand onto the table between them. However, his form is new to him, and he misjudged his strike. As a result, Wang's precious Ouija board is left with a huge crack. Wang congratulates his brother on his immense strength and assures him that none may reach his heights and he has no need to worry about his lesser siblings before taking up his board and leaving. Wang meets Ling on his way away, who immediately recognizes that the two brothers have been fighting. He doesn't intend to discuss it with her, but falls for the 0 out of 10 rage bait after being called a brat by his younger sister and is led back to Chong Yue by her so that the eldest brother may apologize. Chong Yue offers to help with the repair of the board, but Wang declines his offer. Ling sends Chong Yue away so that she may discuss the matter of Sui with Wang. Ling intends to drag the younger siblings into a dream of her own when Sui awakens. Wang says it is merely a delaying tactic as it does not solve the problem of Sui. With the wisdom provided to him by Zhu and Ho, Wang has been preparing to pacify Sui. He intends to enter Sui's dream to strike it down before it may wake. With Ling's help, Wang is able to enter this dream. Within, the proxy sees a battle of Ferenmut, a nightmare that haunts Yan. Ho meets him within. Ho points out that by entering the dream, Wang has allowed Sui to construct a shadow of him as a new focal point to its dream. When Yu was born, Sui had lost it, but with Wang's interference, Sui once more stirs. Wang intends to kill it now, but is stopped by Ho. Even if he could kill it, it would cost him his life. Ling is fetched by Ho to stop Wang from committing suicide by Sui, and in true history, this is when Wang left, leaving behind a face for his foe. This is not history, however. This is a memory, and Wang intends to strike it from the world. Diving into the army manifested by Sui, Wang makes his way towards his foe. Outside, Chongyue and the army of Yan do battle against an awakening Sui. Ling has put her plan into action, but is barely holding back Sui's might. Before anyone can notice, Wang appears and strikes Sui down. Wang and Sui both die, and Chongyue watches on, powerless to stop the fading of Ling's dream. Only one proxy remains. But this is a dream, and another memory of Sui is lost. It may have cost Wang many stones, but Sui only has a few memories left. 140 years ago, the previous True Lung came into power. Deep within Baizhou, at the heart of the city, the 17-year-old emperor is introduced to the great secret of Yan. Some say the prosperity of Yan comes from it, others that True Lung authority is borrowed from it. No one has seen it for 100 years, and it shall obey him. A small crystal sitting at the heart of the chamber, one of the first to originium, the Wa Stone. Much like what the Sarkas claimed in Victoria, this too possesses unfathomable power. Over the centuries, the Tianqi of Yan have placed countless seals upon it. When the Tomb of Sui was built alongside Baizhou, the first originium was used to power Baizhou and seal away Sui. The True Lung understood that his descendants might not be as wise as him, and as such built safeguards into it. During the Great Hunt, using it required the sacrifice of hundreds of Tianqi and tens of thousands of soldiers. After the hunt concluded, the originium was tied to the True Lung himself, and as such, should its power be required again, it would require the sacrifice of the True Lung. When the True Lung passed away a year later, the seal was complete. Thus was the first originium named Bufan, No Rebellion. This True Lung, the father of Wei, looks upon this treasure and views it as wasteful. If it was not busy suppressing Sui, it would have allowed Yan to build so many wonders. The True Lung wishes to modernize Yan, starting with transforming Baizhou into a mobile city. However, to clear the way for a future without Sui, he requires Wang. Summoning the proxy to him, the True Lung asks him how he plans to eliminate Sui. Wang could give him no solid answer, and the man expected as much. He hoped Yan could provide a place for the 12 after the centuries of service, but it seems impossible. Thus, the True Lung gives Wang 20 years to prepare to overcome Sui. Should he fail, the True Lung will raise Yan's armies and destroy Sui themselves. Elsewhere in Baizhou, Jie greets her new candle holder, Chun. The young elf is descended from the Fairmont Yan. Not to be confused with Yan, this is 2 A's in the middle. During the Great Hunt, the elves of Yan attempted to mediate the conflict between Yan and Yan. However, they ended up as enemies of both sides. Since then, they have been labeled as fickle and disloyal. As Jie governs history, Chun hoped that the proxy would help her in overturning this narrative. Jie refuses to lend her the writing knife to alter history, but will help her in correcting the records of her people. Handing her new candle holder the key to the house, Chun worries that Jie will be left locked out. However, Jie simply tells her that the master of the house has no need for a key. 3 years pass in the blink of an eye, and the transformation of Baizhou into a nomadic city continues. It is not without issue. Records are miskept, and people die in the construction works. Many of Yan's officials are annoyed by Jie recording accurate figures of those suffering from the works being done. Due to her authority over history, none may alter the records she checks, and as such, must appeal directly to her. Their pleas fall upon unbending ears, and all are denied. Even lowering the death count by 1 is unacceptable to her and a disgrace to Yan. Chun arrives shortly after her latest rejected victim, and Jie is worried that she is here to lodge a complaint on someone's behalf. She brings good news, however. The Sui regulators and Ministry of Justice have approved her request to clear the Yan elf's name. Jie is delighted to hear it, and is sure Chun will be happy too. Chun, however, rushes in a panic and tells Jie that her knife has gone missing. An investigation is launched immediately, but it is a simple fact that few know of the knife. The theft must have been carried out on the orders of the Sui regulators or the True Lung. Chun recommends telling Wang about the missing knife, but Jie disagrees. People already fear him, and she would not like to give him a reason to lash out. Chun suspects the two are plotting something together, but Jie won't divulge anything. Elsewhere, Nian is summoned to the Forbidden City in Baizhou due to a shipment being delayed, and the construction has ground to a halt. Things are clearly tense if they are sending for another proxy. Chun is summoned by the Sui Regulator Supervisor to discuss the situation. Chun wants the knife returned to GA, but the Sui Regulator Supervisor informs her of Yan's growing fears. GA grows more powerful by the year and may soon become a greater threat than Sui itself. None may alter work she has overseen, and this theft is to simply remind her of Yan's unwillingness to yield to her. As the message has been sent, and Wang has delayed the construction efforts with his little trick, the True Lung allows the return of the knife. Chun returns the knife to GA and apologizes for failing to protect it. Once more does she ask why she refuses to alter history. GA knows that other means like those used to correct the record on the Yarn Elves can be used to change history. As such, she has kept the knife to remind people that wrongs can always be righted. After her candle holder leaves, Wang appears before his sister. The two share a silent moment together, and she sees the flames of fury burning in his eyes. Wang is curious why Sui started this trip down memory lane, but Sui merely wanted to set the scene of what he failed to protect. Taking ourselves out of history to where history is stored, Liang lounges in the library before being approached by Ning Si-Chu. The woman is a longtime companion and lover of his, and this is our government-mandated shipping scene for the two of them. It is not really important, but I kinda like the couple. The two discuss Liang's demotion and Ning's grandfather turning himself in for his crimes, and both bond over having someone they can trust completely. We are leaving them behind though, because we have a library to climb. Script guys begin to appear less frequently as they head towards the top floor. Mo Yi mocks Ruele for being left in the dark by the Sui regulators, but he gives as good as he takes. He even admits that his studies have been inadequate in regards to why a public library has a restricted area. When questioning Mo Yi's motives, she tells him that she hates hypocrites and asks him if he knows why GA had to die. He is unable to answer, but this time it is not due to a lack of curiosity. The answers have been kept from him. Chen is awoken by Chen Chao, as she seemed to have been lost in thought. Chen believes she dreamed of this place before. At the very least, she thinks she saw two people arguing over justice. They both believe justice wasn't something one could find in the world, at least not tangibly, and declared her a hypocrite who refuses to act before she identifies it. While speaking of justice, the two discuss Chen's father and family. Seeing the sad look in Chen Chao's face, Chen asks her what became of her family. They were once renowned historians, generally staying out of politics and conflict, but all that changed when one of her cousins was hastily married off to Chen's mother, Princess Yang Jing. After she died, her cousin passed shortly after. Although the family was never punished by the True Lung, rumors spread of his mistreatment of the princess. Chen Chao's family was cast out, and she ended up in a meaningless position within the Sky Mirror Pavilion. Chen Chao tried to carry on her family's history and tried to clear her family's name, but it all amounted to nothing. Chen doesn't know how to comfort her, but she knows what happened to her was wrong. She knows that history should be a record of the truth, not rumor. Chen never had the ideal family. She passed off Wei as her father, as it made things simpler. In all of her memories, she never remembers her mother smiling, and has hardly any positive thoughts of her father. She remembers words Tallulah told her before, and impulsed them to Chen Chao. Justice is not something that can be found in the past, but that doesn't mean that the past should be forgotten. Within Yumen, Zhuo Zhanliao, father of Zhuo Lei, reflects on his long history with Chongyue. How he came to Yumen as a young man, only to return as a general. How he and Chongyue drove back all the enemies, and how he watched the Grand Master depart Yumen at the end. A military supervisor barges into his reflections to inform him that the Grand Commandant has sent him to ensure Yumen is ready for war with Sui. He is ordered to move Yumen towards the Tomb of Sui immediately. Zhuan Liao questions if the True Long knows of this order and is threatened with being stripped of his command. While he hesitates with obeying, he must remember that his wife and son reside within the capital. Zhuan Liao does not appreciate the threat against his family, but shall be allowed time to accept the Grand Commandant's orders. Zhun, meanwhile, meets with Chen Che, head of the Judicial Review Office. She is wondering about the justice left in Yan. Chen Che questions the woman who wrote the basic principles of the laws of Yan about the final section of the book, about the justice that lays beyond the mortal realm. Zhun tells her that it is a simple thing. If justice cannot be seen in the mortal realm, then perhaps it is wise to consider that someone has blinded you to it. Chen Che realizes that she bears a grudge for the death of Jie, but reminds her of all those who suffered and died as a result of Wang's games. Zhun reminds her that the laws of Yan are not written for the sole purpose of resolving hatred. What Jun is worried about is not what occurs within the tomb, but who shall judge Wang once he emerges. Chen promises her that should his trial ever come, she will place Jun in the judge's chair personally. Satisfied with her answer, Jun takes her leave, but not before enjoying a cup of tea Chen prepares for her. Within the Sky Mirror Pavilion, the group reach the sealed room on the top floor. Chen asks Lei for clarification on something she's been thinking about. If the Grand Commandant is after the Proxy's relic, surely he knows how to use it to neutralize Sui. But what does that have to do with Wei Yanwu? If he could, would he not simply strike down Sui by force? No, it must be related to the death of the last true Lung. Mo Yi reveals the existence of Bufan to the group. It was the Shanhaizong founder who gave it to the true Lung in hopes of evening the conflict between man and Faramut. Before the train of thought can reach its natural conclusion though, they are interrupted by the arrival of an important figure within Yan, the Sui Regulator Supervisor. The True Lung, at the same time, orders the separation of Baizao's many nomadic plates. Only after the process is complete does the Grand Commandant make his appearance. The 20 years allotted to Wang are almost up. It is a long time for mortals, and even immortals feel its strain when on a time crunch. Wang has sealed himself away for so long seeking an answer to the Sui question that none have seen him for years. Chun meets with Jie. The years have not been kind to her. More and more work is heaped on her shoulders, and she seems to be working more and more. If not for Chun, she might never take a break. A member of the Sui Regulators delivers a letter to Chun. It contains a list of Wang's crimes throughout history. It was immediately sent to the True Lung. Chun is left shaken after this, and Sui, in the guise of the official, pushes her to eliminate the great evil before Wang is dealt with. Chun rushes back to the Sky Mirror Pavilion and picks up a scroll left behind by the Sui Regulators. It contains a list of Jie's future crimes. First, she dominates the pavilion. Then, the True Lung attempts to eliminate Sui to erase the threat of Jie, only to find the tomb empty. Next, the Imperial Historical Cabinet is abolished and she takes control of the written language of Yan. Finally, she reviews the livelihood of every Yanese citizen, and all who commit fraudulent acts are erased by her. Chun refuses to believe it, but the influence of Sui weighs upon her. Only Chun can help Yan avoid this fate. The current True Lung interrogates the protege of the old Grand Preceptor. After asking her if he was wrong to modernize Yan, she cannot give a straight answer, but tells him that he hurt some while helping others. In the end, she asks him if he did this for the opinion of future generations or something else. She asks him to trust in his conscience. He is worried his conscience has never been wrong, but she dismisses his fear, as he would not have invited her here if that was the case. Hearing this, he knows what he must do, and appoints her to the Ministry of Rights. After she leaves, he orders his troops to be deployed to the tomb of Sui. It is time to put an end to this burden of Yan. Wang understands his 20 years are up and enters the tomb to confront Sui. He knows he cannot kill it, so he won't try. Instead, he will supplant its will with his own. Stepping inside the tomb, he finds Sui already awake. Sui tells Wang that he has been awake since the last time he intruded upon his dream, although Wang dismisses this as the fantasies of a dreamer. Nonetheless, Wang is undeterred. Sui sees through this and knows Wang fears it. So the two play a game of Weiqi. Wang soon finds his back to the wall, and Sui reveals his form as an imitation of Wang's. Wang doesn't back down, and manages to win by the slightest of margins. Sui laughs at this pathetic display, and reveals to him the magnitude of the game they play. While he won a single game, Sui had checkmated the other 11 games. Wang is trapped, and Sui will soon awaken from its dream. Across Yan, all of the siblings feel the disturbance. Within her study, Jie drops a scroll. She knows that Wang has entered the tomb. Chun arrives and shows her Wang's letter of indictment. Jie realizes what the True Lung has done. This indictment has forced Wang's hand, and he had to enter the tomb immediately. Jie refuses to allow Wang to bear this burden alone, however. The True Lung's plan had not just entrapped Wang, but her. She has long known that Yan fears her the most. Her power has grown beyond what even she can control. She asks Chun a single thing before she makes her decision. What did she feel like when her mother died? Chun realizes that she's going to save Wang. Jie knows that she can do little more than trade her life for his, so she wants to know how death affects those as long-lived as them. Is the pain fleeting to their kind? Something that passes in a season, or does it leave a festering wound unlikely to ever fully heal? Chun knows she should tell her the truth. Keep Jie here and allow Wang to die. However, she instead acts on the behalf of Yan. She tells her that she felt very little even though it tore her apart. That more came along to fill the hole left behind by her mother, even though when she died her heart was ripped from her chest. That the tears stopped flowing soon after she was buried, even though she had cried till the tears ran out. That they find new people along their journey, even though that which less like them is few and far between. How she now rarely thinks of her mother with friends like Jie, even though her loved ones never stopped appearing in her dreams. Jie looks upon her friend and tells her she regrets making her choose between her death and Wang's. She knows all she said was for Yan. None of those words were hers. Chun holds back her tears, as even crying would be a lie right now. The two part on good terms, and the words that floated between them will never be said. Before departing for the tomb, Jie meets with Jun. Jun offers to go with her to help Wang, but Jie denies her that. She needs Jun's power for something else. Handing her the writing knife, Jie asks her sister to look after it for her. She will not allow Sui to awaken, but this power may yet be useful in the future. She asks Jun to ensure that only one who understands the weight of rewriting history ever wields this knife. The wrongs of the past should be righted, and she knows that this knife will aid in that. Leaving her crying sister behind, Jie takes one last look at her home. She knows there will be no record of her, and she trusts that with her sacrifice, Wang will one day find the way to eradicate Sui. Wang watches the scene play out before him. It is only a memory, but he has never forgotten it for even a moment. That past version of him lies exhausted and defeated before Sui, only for a golden light to consume him. He tells Jie that he will one day bring her back, and on the other side of the dream, his sister looks at him and a faint smile is etched across her face. This last memory of Sui is swept away, and Wang returns to the tomb. Zhuo asks the Sui regulator supervisor what she is doing here, and the former candle holder of Jie reverses the question on her subordinate. Chun is curious why he is here and has not brought the token to her yet. She requests it from him, but he refuses. Chun takes note of the Shanghai Zong woman and Chen. Unfortunately for her, it is not them she is waiting for. She asks them again to hand over the token and leave, and if they do so, they will not be punished. Mo Yi of course refuses and calls her out as a disappointment to Yan for sending Jie to her death. Zhuo tries to defend his boss, but Chun can do that herself, insulting Mo Yi as being unworthy to speak Jie's name. All Chun does is for the interest of Great Yan, something that pisses Chen off. She realizes that Chun is waiting for the proxy that holds the second key. Geists run rampant through Baizhou, and only Zhuo tackles the problem at its source, doing so in spite of receiving no orders. As such, it can only mean that the Sui regulators are allowing this state of affairs. Chun and the Grand Commandant are working together to claim the writing knife. Skipping to the point, what Chen wants to ask her is if she has already joined forces with Wei. She may claim what she does is for the national interest of Yan, but Chen has only ever known people to hide behind those words. Chun tells her that the Grand Commandant is using the knife for no act of treason, but won't tell them what he is planning. Mo Yi takes all this information and realizes that she has been right all along. The Grand Commandant plans to use the knife to eliminate Sui at the cost of the True Lung. By combining the knife with Bufan, they may eliminate Sui by imprisoning it within Originium. The knife will allow them to alter history so that it is Wei who dies instead. By altering the record of that night 40 years ago, even just for a moment, Wei may use Bufan in the place of his brother, thus allowing Yan to maintain its prosperity under the current True Lung. Hearing this, Chun decides that all those present must die. Chen realizes now why Wei agreed to this plan. After his death and the correcting of the record, the blemish on the True Lung's rule will be wiped away. Chen Chao attempts to defend the sanctity of Yan's history, but Chun dismisses her concerns. None of what is recorded by man may be the absolute truth for all eternity, and none should dare shoulder that responsibility. Knocking the woman out, she presses her advantage against the trio. Chen reprimands her for tossing her friend to the abyss, but Chun defends herself by telling her it was for Great Yan. Chen has seen many like her, and she knows that she begs Jie's forgiveness in her dreams. Mo Yi wonders why she hinders Wang's work when she can bring Jie back, but Chun believes he will fail as he did before. Chun is a coward who refuses to take a single step without knowing the outcome. And as they fight, Chun seems to take the advantage against them, knocking the token from Chen's grasp. When the little Moji emerges, Chun realizes it to be a Geist. Carrying the memories of all of her siblings, it awakens. She stumbles towards the locked door, and Chun is left unable to act. The Geist touches the door, and it opens immediately. After all, The master of the house needs no key. The office remains untouched since Jie last stood here. Chun refuses to believe her eyes, but Jun, who has just arrived, confirms it to be Jie. Wang has already succeeded in retrieving a sliver of her from Sui's remnant consciousness. Chun wants to leave words for her, but knows it is not her place to do so, and takes her leave. Jun formally introduces herself to Chen. Turning to Mo Yi, Jun is impressed that at least one remains who remembers the true meaning of the Shanghai song. She also compliments Ruolei for living up to his station even when the regulator supervisor failed to. She was trapped between the greater good and personal desire, and Jun hopes that when Ruolei holds her position, he will not repeat her mistakes. Jun sends Ruolei and Mo Yi away, tasking them with taking the little emoji to the tomb of Sui as the siblings are assembling there. For now, Chen is the more important matter. She defends those who she doesn't know, and has protected Jie's legacy, so once more Jun asks her what justice is. This time, Chen gives an answer. Justice is making sure that Wei Yanwu does not die in unjust death, and that the old case is given a proper trial. Justice is bringing closure to all that happened between her mother and father, between the imperial family and the House of Chen. Justice is making sure that the proxy who died for Yan did not die in vain, and that Yan may receive the peace it has desired for 1,000 years. Lastly, Jun asks her what justice is for her as an infected, and Chen tells her that she has seen much suffering across Terra, but the land has been kind to her, so she shall wield her justice for others. Jun cannot help her with the justice she seeks, but she can give her something that might. Chen shall be entrusted with Jie's knife, so that she will be able to grant the justice she seeks to all of Terra. Geists rampage across Baizhou, and it takes all the gods have to hold them back. Within the Forbidden City, the Grand Commandant and the True Lung speak. The True Lung notes that the sickness that he had seems to have passed, and is happy to see him here, although he wastes no time and orders the man to tell him why he has come now. The Grand Commandant asks if he plans to sacrifice himself to activate Bufan. No one has advised him on this. It is his own decision. When he first became True Lung, he thought long and hard about Bufan. How in 1,000 years it has powered Yan, but none have dared to use it. If one was forced to, would he not be the weakest ruler in history? The Grand Commandant fears what may happen if you were to die, but the True Lung understands there to be a fitting candidate in Baizhou right now. The Grand Commandant denies the suitability of Yan Wu. That's Wei's real name, by the way. The True Lung believes himself to be no match for his father, but his advisor denies this claim. He has led his people through a time of great peace. He has toiled endlessly for them. There has never been a more prosperous era in all of Yan's history. As they speak, an Imperial Guard brings news of the energy spike from the Tomb of Sui. Its awakening is nearing. The True Lung rises from his throne and descends. He will do what he must for his people. The Grand Commandant begs him not to. With terror and chaos following all the world-shaking events, from the war in Victoria, to the disappearance of Ursus's Originium, to the perils of Latania and Kazdel, Yan cannot afford to sacrifice its one hope to stave off the end of the Originium age. It must seize it to conquer all of Terra and cement itself for the next 1,000 years. The True Lung has never doubted the man's loyalty, but he reminds him of the invincible Empire of Gaul. Great Yan must face the new age, and its people are strong enough to do so without a crutch. As the True Lung makes his leave, the Grand Commandant sends word to Yumen to begin its attack on the tomb before collapsing from his sickness. Chen meanwhile heads for the heart of Baizhou, the Forbidden City, but is stopped by Wei. She's surprised he has decided to simply show himself after all that has transpired. She knows of his plan and refuses to hand over the knife to him. First, she shall make sure he is safe, then she will correct some of the mistakes made by him and his brother. The man before her is no longer Chief Wei, and she is no longer Superintendent Chen. She draws her sword and takes hold of Jie's knife. There is only one way to end this discussion. The two clash. Wei knows Chen does not know Qi Zhao's ultimate technique. It requires sacrificing everything, to see all and nothing. One such as her who actually cares for justice and wishes to live, while correcting mistakes before they can fester into regrets, could never master it. Chen knows Wei used it when he struck down Tallulah's father, and has no desire to learn it. Chen would rather abandon the technique forever than leave a single person behind. She may not understand why Wei struck down his father, or why her mother resented all those closest to her, or why Tallulah had to suffer because of her blood. But she does know one thing, and Tallulah knows it too, that apologies for the dead are meaningless. Only a coward like Wei would rely on something like that, so Chen will stop him from making the same mistake again. Taking hold of Jie's knife, she creates a new ultimate technique for Qi Zhao, one that doesn't require the abandonment of all. In response, Wei unleashes that ultimate technique, but in the face of Chen's attack, it is rendered meaningless. Having defeated Wei, he accepts her reasoning, although he laments the lives she has forfeited to achieve this victory. Chen isn't so sure. She's putting her fate in the proxy battling Sui. And after hearing the war horn signaling Yumin to attack the tomb, she knows where she must go. Wei tells her that the Grand Commandant has issued the order, but the General of Yumin will resist it for some time, so she has a chance to prevent tragedy. Watching her leave, Wei prepares himself to live up to Chen's ideals. He will go and save his brother. Zhuo Lei and Mo Yi head for the tomb, but are intercepted by Ya, who requests that they hand over the token. Zhuo Lei recognizes the mastermind behind the attack on Yumin immediately, and when Mo Yi does not offer up what she wants, Ya prepares to attack her. Mo Yi doesn't want to tell her where Bufan is, but Ya is not one to be trifled with. She may be a dying Farenmut, but she is still a Farenmut. Mo Yi will give her what she wants, but only after she promises to only harm Sui with her revenge. Ya calls this request absurd and attacks her, but Zhuo Lei protects her. Shifting her methods, Ya tells Mo Yi to tell her or she will kill Zhuo Lei. Mo Yi concedes at this point and tosses Ya a map to Bufan. Ya appreciates the offer, but requests Mo Yi follow her to Bufan, swallowing her up in her pocket dimension. Zhuo Lei tries to battle her to rescue Mo Yi, and Ya praises his willingness to die. However, before she can strike him down, Zhu and Ho appear before her. Ya is loath to call them by the names humans gave them, but she is left little choice, as Farenmut never had names for each other. The two have only come for a chat, and so Ya takes them into her pocket dimension too. The duo are annoyed as this revenge of hers has made things difficult for them. They tell her that she is too weak to kill Sui, but Ya will be content so long as she leaves a lasting injury. Ho and Zhu are disappointed that Ya, who so looks down upon humans, has become so entranced by their concept of revenge. Ya realizes what Zhu has done and accepts, before leaving them trapped in her realm. Zhu, the creator of the Shanhaizong, has rescued his last true disciple. Zhuo Lei and Mo Yi hear humans' call to war and part ways. Zhuo Lei knows his father will never attack Sui at a time like this, and trusts Mo Yi to carry the token to where it is needed most. The day of the full moon arrives, and the Grand Tutor waits outside the tomb of Sui. The first of the proxies to arrive is Yu. He offers the old man food, and the two await the arrival of the others. Zhuo Lei arrives in Yumin and discovers the city moving towards the tomb. With Sui unawakened, he knows that the True Lung has not ordered this. Utilizing the teachings of Cheng Yue, Zhuo Lei scales the outside of the city. One mistake would prove fatal, but of course he succeeds. Reaching the top of the city, he knocks out a guard and questions him on the current orders. The guard tries to resist, but Zhuo Lei reassures him by asking why General Zhuo has not personally beat the watchtower drums. It is something he always does before any military deployment. The guard tells him that the orders seemed weird, and Zhuo Lei unties him before heading for his father's location. Zhuo Lei asks him where the Ministry of War's men are, as only they could have given the order as he is clearly under house arrest. His father reprimands him for questioning orders of the Imperial Court, so Zhuo Lei reveals the deception of the Grand Commandant to him. Xuan Liao immediately believes his son and tells him that they must return order to Yumin should they wish to avoid disaster. If they encounter Sui now, Yumin would be wiped out. Before they can plot anything, they are interrupted by the military supervisor. The man asks Xuan Liao what crimes he believes his trespassing son should be charged for. Zhuo Lei would be happy to be charged so long as that traitorous Grand Commandant is as well. The man reveals that more than half of the Imperial Court supports his actions. However, not once does he state that the True Lung supports it. Recognizing this, Xuan Liao refuses the orders of the Grand Commandant, and with the timely arrival of Taihei, who has recovered from his injuries he sustained against Ya, the Grand Commandant's men are all subdued. Unfortunately, they have sabotaged the communication systems, so there is no way of easily undoing the fake order. The cannons of Yumin cannot be stopped now. Taehi is dispatched to the mobility layer to order the halt of Yumin, while Zhuo Lei is sent to stop the guns from firing. Xiao Liao meanwhile has a simple task. Even if the orders are fake, even if a battle with Sui means the death of all of his soldiers, they should never enter battle without the encouragement of their general. Within the heart of Baizhou, the True Lung comes face to face with Bufan. He awaits the awakening of Sui. Only then will his job be required. Wang and Sui's game near its end. Wang grasps onto a fragment of a letter Jie left for him, but it too fades away. Sui admits to Wang that even it feared her growing power for a moment, which is why it interfered to ensure she died, something it never even considered doing for Wang. But even the mightiest of the proxies die, and Sui remains undefeated. Wang denies this account of things. Jie may have lost, but she provided a chance for her remaining family to live. She has given him this chance to rewrite the ledger of fate. Sui mocks his sentimentality. How could he bring such weakness before a god? However, through Jie's sacrifice, Wang accepted that weakness as part of him. Perhaps when fighting an unfeeling god like Sui, it would prove the ultimate tool against him. Wang leaves the Weiqi table and draws a sword. Sui accepts this bit of sport before it awakens, and Wang is happy to finally see that false version of himself again. Ultimately, however, Wang proves no match against the onslaught of Sui. Sui moves to finish off its prey, but finds itself still in a dream. Outside the tomb, Ling and Jun sing and play. They add their might to Wang's, a simple trick but one that enrages Sui. It plans to slaughter all of the proxies one by one before it comes for Yan. Wang, however, won't give it the opportunity. With all of his siblings behind him, it is time for their revenge. Sui's awakening is nigh, and guys spawn at an even faster rate. Atop Mount Mang, Yi handles all that emerge from the tomb alone, sending Li Zi off to protect civilians. His brother Ji offers his aid too. They handle these geists with ease and begin lending their might to Wang so that he may surpass Sui. Yu defends the Grand Tutor from the geists, but the chef doesn't need to do too much because Nian is here to save the day. Rolling up on her Dark Devastator, no, I am not making that name up. She, alongside Shu and Dusk, begin bombarding the geists forming outside the tomb. Nian hopes Yu has prepared dinner and asks the Grand Tutor to forgive the impromptu gathering of siblings. The man simply says that should they resolve this crisis, then Yan would surely look favorably upon them. A new face makes an appearance now, Taraxacon, a disciple of Fang. He offers Nian a steelyard scale, a portion of Fang's might that will be needed to suppress Sui. Yumin, however, still advances, and Nian is curious how they will put a stop to it and considers bombarding it, but decides that's probably a bad idea. Chen, however, has arrived with a solution. Nian is happy to see one of the stars of her movie Ancient Forge and knows that she brought Jie's knife along. Facing the nomadic city, Chen raises the knife. It transforms into a longsword and she swings. Its golden light becomes a sandstorm that engulfs Yumin. This storm, despite what I just called it, is not made up of a coarse sand, but gentle golden snowflakes. When the snow melts, all hear the beating of a drum. Their memories that were once blurred become crystal clear, and they remember a poet who drank wine, and a man who made a lonely exit. They remember their hearts as one at that time, and all the times they overcame catastrophe. All confusion and puzzlement is forgotten, and the city of Yumin slows to a crawl, then stops. Using the knife, Chen stops the city by simply cutting the power. An easy solution, but one that overcomes all the redundancies built into the military ship. It gives Raleigh just enough time to put a stop to all of the guns of Yumin. All around her, the siblings look upon the golden light that they have not seen in a century, but Chen sees a parting in the distant north. Reaching the tomb of Sui with the token, Mo Yi realizes she has no way in. Thankfully, Chong Yue is here to help. He tells her that the rest of his family wait on the barrens outside of the tomb. Chong Yue looks upon the sliver of Jie and takes it when Mo Yi offers it to him. Still, it is good that she came here, as Chong Yue will take it with him into the tomb. Of course, he's not planning on undoing his brother's good work, just giving him some peace of mind before the end. Within the tomb, Sui rages at the absurdity of the proxies. Wang mocks it and tells her that the fear it feels means that this fight will be over soon. Sui rejects this and abandons this visage of Wang before bringing forth its true form to crush this insect. However, in that instant, it is struck by an incomparably powerful blow, a strength it is familiar with, struck by one who transcends the mortal plane. Chong Yue's strike, so perfect it even splits the connection between Sui's body and its mind. Wang looks upon his meddlesome brother. Chong Yue has come to fulfill his promise to Wang and allow him to meet Jie. Chong Yue cannot stay long, and as the brothers part, Chong Yue asks him to live and return to them. Wang can make no promises, and Chong Yue promises that he will not stop looking for him, no matter the outcome. Sui rages, but it is impotent. Wang has prepared for this moment since his birth, and with the might of all the proxies behind him, the 12 equal the 1. Unleashing their combined might, the mighty Sui is struck down. Wang seizes the body of Sui as its consciousness dies. Sui tells him that this is not enough to kill him, and that he will always haunt him. Wang, however, has a plan for that. In the end, the murky consciousness of Sui forgets who it is and fades away. Taking what's left of his stones, Wang forms a blade and plunges it into the heart of Sui. Thus, a god dies, and a new Sui is born. Geists across Yan fade away as if they never existed. Within the chamber of Bufan, the true Lung breathes Sui. He immediately recognizes it as Wang. Wang looks down upon this man and asks him if he truly wishes to use Originium to take him down. If what stands before him is Sui, then he will rid Yan of it no matter the cost. And if it is Wang, then he will fulfill his promise to him by sparing him and pardoning him for his crimes. Wang wonders if he truly seeks death, and the True Lung says that anything is worth it if it means Great Yan can enter a new age without fear, so Wang will give him what he wants. Ya, however, still has a score to settle with Sui, although she immediately recognizes that the creature before her is not the one she is looking for. Looking upon this fake, she feels her hatred fading away. She will not give Wang the release he deserves, but she refuses to forgive him. Wang had hoped that she had arrived sooner, however he would still like to give her some closure. Originium. That is why he led her here. She is dying anyway, why not take some revenge? Ya considers ignoring the provocation. However, sometimes being the bigger person is for nerds, and so she unleashes her power even at the cost of her own life. She will have Wang suffer for eternity in the place of the one she hates. Cutting away the seasons is no easy feat for a healthy Farenmut, and she is far from that now. She takes that tiny piece of Originium and plunges it deep into Sui's body, and then she fades away. As she does, her two kin escape her illusion, watching on with sorrow as another of their kind dies. All of this faded from the True Lung's sight. Wang's plan finally is understood by him. At the cost of eternal torment, he has ascended to the seat of Sui, and using Ya has sealed that existence within Originium. With the disappearance of the Originium, the room begins to collapse. The door is jammed by the rubble, and the True Lung accepts his fate. However, one man refuses to create more regrets and cuts the rubble away. Yan Li looks up and sees his brother Yan Wu for the first time in 40 years. The man carries his brother out and escapes the room before it fully collapses. Chun knows immediately that it's over. Sui is no longer a threat to Yan. Within the throne room, Chen Che looks down upon the Grand Commandant. She knows that his cold has always been a pretext. He lies here dying, and his justifications will never be heard by anyone. Within the tomb, the siblings wait for Wang and Chong Yue to emerge. However, it is just one man that comes out. With everything concluded, Chen can speak to her cousin in a less stressful time. The two spend much time sharing stories of their family and compiling the true history of the Chens. Chen offers to use the knife to rewrite history for her cousin, but Chen Chao refuses her. What's written is written, and she no longer needs it to be altered. After all, this book will never be published. Still, Chen insists, and eventually Chen Chao at least holds the knife. Holding this piece of Jie, Chen Chao asks her cousin if Jie will ever return. Chen is unsure, but the little Moji has settled into her office on the top floor of the pavilion. Chen Chao hopes that when she does return, the historians of Yan will have proven that they can record the correct history without her guidance. Chen Chao hands the knife back to Chen and asks her to help correct some pages. Chen does as instructed, and history does not change. In fact, when used normally, it is just a really good eraser. Chen wishes to speak with Liang, but he has already taken his leave with Ning. Instead, today her adopted sister, Ning Yin, Blaze's sister, is meeting with Chen Chao. She's here to discuss things with Chen Chao as she is being transferred to a research post at the Imperial Historical Cabinet. Leaving them behind, we cut to the Sui family dinner. It is rare so many of them are in one place. The remnants of Jie are in her office, Ji and Yi are currently in the Garden of Grotesqueries, Zhang Yue is handling the relocation of the other Farenmut, and of course, Fang never showed up in Baizhou. Speaking of him, his apprentice, Traxicum, makes his departure to meet up with his master, and the siblings send him on his way with some food for their absent sibling. Around this time, Yi arrives, having dragged Ji to the dinner. Nian decrees that Ji must be punished for his actions in Dahong, and leaves it up to Shu. Although Nian denies an apology being enough, and Yi denies her a "let's settle this later" response to keep the peace. So his punishment shall be a year without working on his businesses, and of course, repaying all those he can. Jun then arrives, carrying a sleeping Dusk. She had fallen asleep on the ground, so she carried her here. Nian wants to wake her up, but the Dusk dissolves into a scroll. Dusk has returned to her painted world to sleep and asks not to be woken up unless Wang returns. Regardless of those missing, the family can enjoy a meal together. And I must say, I would have really enjoyed having a CG of the meal, but I am okay reusing the one from Yu's event. Within the Sky Mirror Pavilion, Wei and the True Lung finally speak. Yan Li wished he could have grown old in this library, but fate would not allow it. Wei thinks that his brother should hate him, and he does, but it is not an all-consuming hatred. After all, he suspects that there was at least a time when Wei hated him too. He's pretty sure Wei assumed at least once that it was him who orchestrated everything those decades ago to frame Wei. When Wei left Baizhou, their sister brought his way on the road to Lungmen. He manages to escape the city, but not her. She had begged him to return to the capital to explain everything to his brother, and in the end, it was not to be. Yan Li wonders if he will get to meet her daughters. Wei laments that he could not even give them a happy life. Much like Wei, Yan Li has never been certain that he has made the right decision. He waited for a time when someone would judge him for his wrongdoings, but in the end, he was the true Lung that pacified the bestial Sui. The greatest achievement in Yan's history, only matched by he who started the Great Hunt. As the two brothers talk, Chen meets with a young girl studying in the pavilion. This girl is Yan Li's daughter, the next true Lung. Chen asks her if she wishes to become the next true Lung, and she doesn't want to be, but it is the duty she was born with. Chen doesn't believe that one should be forced to take on a role if they don't want to, but the girl holds to her father's wisdom. Chen thinks she would like to meet this true Lung. She takes the girl's hand and walks her home. The girl thinks Chen may be as wise as the Grand Tutor, a comparison she appreciates but denies. The girl is worried that as the future true Lung, her actions must always be cautious, and thus has no friends. Logic, Chen vehemently disagrees with. The girl doesn't understand, but Chen says she will understand as she grows up. Thanks to her actions during the conflict, Mo Yi is allowed to leave freely. Zhuo Lei meets with her one last time before she does. She asks him what's next for the Sui regulators, but he's not too sure. The supervisor retired right after the chaos. However, with the Originium-covered body of Sui, they have much studying to do. Across Yan, Zhang Yue bids farewell to Zhu and Ho. The two of them saved the last of Ya's essence in the hopes that she may one day return. They wish him well on his search for Wang and will send him any information they come across. For some time, Zhang Yue searches for Wang across Yan. On his journey, he comes across a boy playing a game of Weiqi for cash. He is cornered and about to lose, but hears a disembodied voice whisper a move to him. Following his advice, he places his next piece, before shortly winning the game. Proving to his brother that Wang is definitely still out there in some form. And that, my friends, is First of 1,000 Autumns. I would say my new favorite Sui event. It was very well paced. Splitting itself into the adventures of Chen and the memories of Sui was a fantastic narrative decision. Combining them at the end really serves to elevate the whole conclusion. Now, you've seen the length of this video, so I won't belabor the point. This event was really good. Go read it, although you probably don't need to after watching this. So instead of a fancy outro, I wish to cover the return of Wang, because we of course know he is playable, which means he survived his battle against Sui, and survived being imprisoned in Originium. Of all the 181 pieces he split himself into, only one survived the battle with Sui. The singular stone awakens sometime after that battle. He wanders around Baizhou for some time, before hitching a ride with Chen to the top floor of the Sky Mirror Pavilion. He hears of how all his siblings have come to meet with little Moji, of the pain they feel seeing what remains of their lost sister. The stone is left behind by Chen, and he has time to take in the sights. He remembers his sister, and apologizes for taking so long to visit her. Now that all is settled, it is just a geist and a black stone that remains. Alas, the memory of Jie congratulates him on his victory, and reminds him that there are many who are still waiting to meet with him again. One day, he walks into Rhodes Island, and wishes to speak with the supervisor. Becoming an operator, he asks for them not to tell his siblings. However, one day while walking down the hall, Wang would disappear. An hour later, he emerged with his head hanging low, followed by a cheerful Nian, a dusk with red eyes, and a Yu whose sleeves were wet with tears. After that, Wang stopped dividing his family, and the Sui siblings were whole again. And so, with that covered, I bid you adieu. Much love to the wonderful members of the factory. You are the Weiqi stones to my dragon proxy, being sacrificed to overcome the great evil that is YouTube. And also my inability to make a video on time for an event ending. Although, in my defense, this video is a little longer than usual, and the scripting process was pretty intensive. Y'all, be good people, and I will see you in the next one. I would like to make an announcement that GA is the hottest Sui sibling, and no, I will not be taking any counter arguments on this point at this time.